Hello, my baby gorillas, and thanks very much, Teresa, for asking if I was feeling better. Yeah, to be honest with you, it wasn't really that bad. Let me just make sure everything's plugged in. I'm having major problems tonight. I have major problems tonight with everything, so I don't understand where it's all going, what's actually happening. Let me just check if I'm actually getting sound now and you can actually hear me, because
wouldn't it be nice to make as much money as those celebrities, Tom Hanks, Beyonce?
Certainly would. Oh my! Major problems tonight with we're on. So we're on. At least we're getting some sound. Thank God for that. So one of the reasons, apart from me having the COVID, is that I've had a warning strike, which I've put. I can't even remember where I put it, but I put the actual the podcast up on another channel. I'll try and find out next time where it is. But I've had a community strike for what I would consider fair usage of the other ones. That's when I get cut off. I get the actual podcast get cut off in the middle of it because I was going over things about communism, which I'm a bit surprised that that was getting taken off the air, because obviously we have got a bit of a problem with communists just now, floating about, these Marxists floating about everywhere who have killed 100 million people. So I've now got a strike. So one of the things that I wasn't wanting to do was come on and talk to you guys, because obviously it looks like they're teeing up for me getting potentially kicked off. They've given me a warning for something spurious as well, just the same as I've been kicked off Facebook, and there's real issues. We're going to have to hold these companies to account in Scotland. Companies, it's a privilege to trade in Scotland. It's not a right. You don't have, foreign companies do not have a right to trade in Scotland, and I think that's what we would have to do, and we have to be held accountable in Scotland for their actions. So other countries do that, but wee Nippy doesn't want to do that. Wee Nippy's too busy giving his passports to get into nightclubs. The Humza Useless has failed to do. What are you guys saying? But it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Yeah, that sounds good. Good, Teresa. That's good. I'm glad you're on. But they've been mucking about. I've had to reboot this computer 3 times just now to actually get back on the air. And yeah, it's really bad. It really, I mean, as you can see, there you go. Guideline strike for what I would consider fair usage. I'm sure a court would consider it fair usage as well. So what happened? So I had COVID. In August, late August. I hadn't been out for a long time, but it was late August and early September that I had COVID. Now, I've not been vaccinated. I've not been vaccinated. I'm not against people getting vaccinated, but I just want to bring you over and let you listen to... Here. Let me just cancel some of these. And our friend... Salty Cracker, great guy, lovely fella. So let's see what Salty Cracker. Doctors in Scotland baffled by mysterious rise in heart attacks. Oh my goodness. That's how we think that this American gentleman. If you've not subscribed to Salty Cracker, definitely subscribe and go over and give him some shares and do whatever you can. But Salty Cracker is now discussing Scotland through obviously the fantastic work at Infowars, the original, the OG podcasters, the gold standard of podcasters. Definitely go into Infowars and subscribe. I'll talk about God, i.e. Alex later on, but Alex Jones, the man. So let's see what Mr. Salty Cracker is saying.
It couldn't be. Don't question it, idiots. What are you doing? Heart attacks, no mystery to anyone who's been paying attention to what doctors who warned this would happen. What?
This is in Scotland, just FYI.
What is going on? What were they warning about? What were they warning about? The Times of London reported Thursday that doctors in Scotland are baffled. Baffled, I tell you. Confuzzled and confused by the mysterious rise in heart attacks stemming from blocked arteries. From blood clots? No shit, blood clots? The fuck would cause blood clots these days? Running? It's gotta be running. Running, right? Salads? I don't trust fucking salads. Maybe it's those impossible vegan burgers you dumb idiots are eating. Anyway. Oh, you know, by the way, again, side note, you got a whole bunch of these jabs out there putting in their...
So, although this is an Infowars, this originally was on the Times of London reported, I'm not sure what day it was, Times of London reported Thursday doctors in Scotland are baffled by mysterious rise in heart attacks stemming from blocked arteries.
Pen papers or those big old sheets, the sheets are gigantic, by the way, you can use them for car covers these days. And it tells you inside of some of the side effects for some of these things.
Johnson & Johnson vaccine blood clots, what you need to know.
I mean, they're telling you nobody gets these side effects, by the way. But
so, what was COVID like? And I think for me, and I mean, I'm getting on a bit now, obviously, and I personally, I'm not saying this is the case for everybody, but I personally found it like a very mild cold. I was expecting breathlessness and even something more like a flu symptoms. I've had really terrible flus over the years, all of which I've survived, but terrible flus. And this was like a mild cold. For me, I'm not talking about generally, and I should preface this because somebody close to me who had whose mother had an underlying condition, died of COVID. So, and that was somebody in my immediate family. So, I'm not saying that people shouldn't get vaccinated. Not saying that there's not issues with the COVID, but I don't know if healthy people are required to get vaccinated. If you're healthy or you think you're healthy and you've got no underlying health conditions, for me personally, it wasn't that serious. Now, Nicola Sturgeon and Humza Useless has brought in this app. So because I've already had it, I would take it I've got antibodies naturally now to having COVID. So why would I need to get vaccinated? And would I be exempt from vaccination now that I'm actually had the virus, because my immune system would naturally kick in and have natural immunity? So I don't know that. I'm not a doctor and I don't proclaim to give medical advice, and I don't know that for a fact, but that's certainly a question. So let's continue with Mr. Cracker.
Blood clots is a thing. It's a thing. I mean, that would never be omitted.
Meanwhile, the paper omitted any possible link to COVID-19 vaccine, which has been blamed for deaths linked to blood clots throughout the summer, and which numerous doctors have warned would produce blood clots in a majority of vaccinated people.
Of course. And here you go. This is from the Times, by the way. Health experts have been left baffled by a big rise in a common and potentially fatal type of heart attack in West Scotland. During the summer, there was a 25% rise in number of people rushed to the Golden Jubilee National Hospital.
Obviously, we all know that. So that's one hospital. That's the new hospital that was built privately. I think it was nationalised. And yeah, that's one hospital in Scotland. Obviously, we have multiple hospitals in Scotland.
In Clydebank, with partially blocked arteries cutting blood supply to the heart. That's one fucking hospital. Holy shit, 25% increase. Now, I know lefties think math be motherfucking racist and they don't understand percentages, but that's a lot. That's a fuck.
Obviously, we know in Scotland that we've got certain underlying issues because of our the way that we live our lives, and our life expectancy is a lot shorter, which is something that maybe should be addressed as well. But whether or not the combination of this vaccine, I don't know. Well,
Fucking lot, 25% increase.
according to NIH, US National Library of Medicine, a blood clot may block an artery or vein in the heart, which would affect a number of major organs, including legs, lungs, kidneys, and heart. The paper reports in the summer that the Golden Jubilee saw a 25% rise in NSTEMI, or non-ST segmented evaluations, microcardial infractions, or heart attacks.
According to the NIH's U.S. National Library of Medicine, quote, a blood clot may block an artery or vein in the heart, which could affect a number of major organs, including the legs, lungs, kidney, or heart. The paper reports over the summer, Golden Jubilee saw a 25% rise in NSTMI, or non-ST segment elevation, myocardial infarctions, or heart attacks, as fucking layman's called. People's hearts are blown out, boys. That is weird. And so, they're telling you, all the doctors, hey, it's weird. Over the last few months, can't think of anything that we've been doing differently here in Scotland.
In a quote to the paper's Golden Jubilee lead consultant cardiologist Mitchell Lindsay listed off numerous possible causes but curiously negated one. We all know what it was. There is not any evidence that it is a consequence of any delayed care or missed opportunity. It's is likely to be due to a multitude of factors: people being sedentary with lockdown, stress, people ignoring symptoms because they do not want to present at hospital or their doctors. There are probably 5 to 10 causes, all linked to wee Nippy's daft ideas. So wee Nippy has the globalist shill is basically caused this through the lockdown. So
Scotland, can't think of it, but we've got a 25% increase in heart attacks.
He's funny, this guy.
What could it be? Could it be fish and chips? Do you guys do fish and chips in Scotland? Is that just an England thing? Not quite sure. But,
we do fried marshmallows.
Note, of course, according to Google statistics, 70% of Scots are vaccinated, with 76.8% having received at least one dose. And that's good to know. It's good to know that the Scots, 70% vaccinated against the super duper dangerous COVID-19. Glad to see that they're all going out there, 70% of the population, and getting jabbed up by the totally safe, 100% safe, 120% effective vaccine, boys. Good to see. They've been tracking that the last few months, by the way. You got a nice increase. You got September, August. How the fuck does a Gregorian calendar work, boys? September, August, July, May, April. I wonder what the hell's been going on during summer over here. What kind of increase we got over there. So, anyway, got a bunch of people on Twitter. They're speculating. They don't know what it could be, but everyone's sitting there going, mystery rise in heart attacks from blocked arteries. Mystery rise in heart attacks by blood clots. The fuck could it be? Could it be? Oh, gee. Wonder what that could be. What have we been doing that could make this happen? Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. Shit, we better look into this. Luke Radowski's up in here. Gee, I wonder look at everybody just fucking mocking them.
What's David Curtin saying? The man, experts are baffled on the cause of a mystery rise in heart attacks from blocked arteries. Here's a clue. And he's put...
Here's the clue. Let's play Wheel of Fortune,
David Cutting's a good guy.
boys. It just goes on and on. Mystery rising hard.
Mystery. What could it be?
Heart attacks for blocked arteries. We don't know what it could be. Well, I would probably guess that maybe you should look into what this population's been doing differently the last few months and work your way backwards. Maybe you can Sherlock Holmes this. Get the fucking hat and the stovepipe thing and you work it backwards. It shouldn't take a galaxy brain to figure out what's going on. And there you have it, my friends. What a mess. What a fucking mess.
I'm going to leave that there. I don't need to do all of us. Get my second strike on the channel. It's not really going to matter very much more longer anyway. It's not going to matter very much more because we're going to have our own channel. And very soon there's a lot of things that's happening now in the background. Trees retracted, message retracted. Did you take a test to find out? Yeah, Trees, I took a test, so I definitely had it, and I could tell because my sense of smell went as well. But when you have a flu, you're coughing all the time. I would cough maybe 4 or 5 times in the day. It was for me, it was very mild, but I was more anxious about the thought of it being severer than it actually was. So I stayed in and basically stayed in for about 3 weeks. I stayed in and didn't do anything and was very sedentary and was expecting this at least like a bad flu or having some breathing difficulties. None of that, absolutely nothing. And that's mine, but that may not happen for other people. I was speaking to 2 young ladies last night. One said their wee brother had it and he didn't have any problems, but they're vaccinated and they're only about 19, 20, and they've been vaccinated. Well, and I don't think they've got any contraindications. One of them said that somebody in the family they might have difficulties and they got vaccinated for them, which is very kind. And I'm not saying don't turn on Cabaret browsing. This lets selected text with your keyboard. Oh no, cancel that. So I'm not anti-vaccinations, but you better make sure that the vaccinations is not worse than the cause. The cure is not worse than the cause. December 2019, I was as sick and as I've ever been, 2 weeks on my back, unable to leave the house. Well, Teresa, a few of my friends have actually had it. A few of my friends, there was a lady called Gloria who was very apprehensive about it, and I think they had it worse. So mine was a doddle. Mine was not a problem at all. But I think a few of my friends have had bad cases of it. So I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I'm on to propaganda needs to stop. I mean, this what they're apparently they're planning to do. So what they're planning to do is bring in this app, and the last thing I would do is have a government app on my phone. It's bad enough having the phone in itself. I'm sure they're all getting monitored anyway. But anyway, I wouldn't have a government app on my phone. And what they're going to do is have lockdowns, because you guys have all accepted it. And you need to stop voting for the Lib Lab Con Party, the Greens and the SNP. You need to stop voting for them. That's the only way things will change. Vote for a Libertarian Party. There's going to be a second Libertarian Party coming in soon enough. Or vote for even UKIP, anybody, Tim Rice, anybody, Reform UK, doesn't matter who, as long as they're Libertarian, they're not going to put up with this nonsense any longer. Getting rid of Humza Useless would be also beneficial, because he's not competent enough to be in government. So propaganda needs to stop. Yeah, MSN constantly spewing and pushing BS and needs to stop. COVID has been around and it's nothing new. Yeah, and you've got to also remember it's only affected a very small percentage. It's like us all getting passports to go into nightclubs for the flu. But what they're going to do is bring in climate climate emergency lockdowns. So you've already bought into this. We've all got to stay in our house because of the cold, which you could have just self-isolated or got jabbed if you're with somebody who's got problems and may need protected, or the person who's got contraindications or other issues needs jabbed and to protect them. But you can also walk and exercise and do things and eat properly as well, and that'll change. That'll increase your immunity, protect you. Obviously, I'm walking every day, so that's it. COVID has all been around, yeah. So we've had the flu, and that's it. And we don't lock down for the flu either. And I'm sure there's been a lot of people over the years who have died from the flu. We can protect people from dying. That's unfortunate. It's just the way the life goes. I'm sure we're all going to go at some point. Probably not me, but apart from that, everybody else. There are many people outside Dr. Hillary's house serving him with papers. That's 2 weeks on your back. Did anyone tie you to the mattress? No, but that would have been quite good if somebody had. I was anticipating I was anticipating it being a lot worse than it was, and somebody might as well tie me to the mattress, but no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I wish this, Teresa. Smoke extra cigarettes and you'll get you won't get the flu. Yeah, well, I do. I'm a very light smoker, but I'm trying to obviously give up. But yeah, I did, maybe because I actually smoked that. That's maybe why I got it later, which is quite perverse in itself. Probably get cancer more than likely from the cigarettes. That's the best prescription to chase the infection away. Yeah, I would suggest that the best thing, and what I do if I get a bad flu, which I had a really bad flu maybe about 2-3 years ago, is I go to a sauna and get steamed. I go in and raise my body temperature. Because obviously that's what happens when your body fights off a natural flu, but I do it artificially through going into a sauna. And after 2 days in a sauna, I went back. So I went in one day, went back the next day. The flu had gone, and I was really suffering. My nose was all blocked up, which it wasn't when I had the COVID. I just lost the sense of smell. My mum always told me I won't accomplish anything by lying in my bed all day. But look at me now, Emma. I'm saving the world. I love my bed. Absolutely love it. Wee Jimmy Cranky needs to get a jobby jam to be winter. Oh dear, where's my thing going, honestly? Things just keep cutting out, honestly. It's unbelievable. I don't know what's happening here with this thing either. Oh, no, that's not what I want to do. Oh my goodness, honestly. I think they're actually trying to sabotage my channel. I don't know. Oh, I've done that twice. It's unbelievable. 3 times I had to reboot the computer today. And now it's reconnecting. Oh, you're back. No infections, yeah. Asthmatic and smoke like a lung. Yeah, well, I mean, I would obviously watch that if you're asthmatic, and smoking as well. I don't know. I think vaping is even get issues. Try and go cold turkey on the cigarettes. I would actually probably ban cigarettes because I don't think they're helpful in the slightest. I understand it wouldn't be a popular decision, but I don't think that anything positive is coming out of smoking, apart from potentially the fact of not getting COVID very seriously. The climate agenda is a religion. So here's go back. Thanks for bringing that up, Teresa. So, as I pointed out last time, the majority of the pollution is happening in other countries. So let's CO2 pollution. So here it is, 2020. Let's see, 2020. So some girl was moaning about it being down 9%. Here it is. Yeah, right. So the majority of the CO2 is coming from China. So what, apparently there's been allegations that what they're going to use is the app to lock us down. So instead of being locked down for COVID, we're now going to be locked down in the future for CO2 pollutions in the UK. So our CO2 pollution is reduced by 50% virtually over the last number of years. But even if you take it into consideration, with 9 billion, 5 billion, so that's 14 billion, 16 billion, the 400, let's say 400 million, which is us putting up, which ours is going to reduce even more, is a fraction of the, if you think about the down to South Africa, it's a fraction. So we're going to be locked in our houses allegedly for the emissions of other countries. So other countries are going to emit CO2 and they're not going to do anything about it. But apparently they're going to want to lock us down for climate emergencies, using the apps to lock us in our houses for us producing a tiny percentage of the CO2s. So, and this is probably going to come from the Conservatives as well. So, he's so funny. Salty cracker. So, we're not, these are the polluters here, the majority of polluters, and we're actually still reducing ours, which I say that's great. But even if we reduce it to zero and we have zero emissions, and we grow more trees, which you can do that individually, you don't need the government to do it, you can individually go out and plant a tree, that it's not going to make any difference to the overall extent of other countries polluting with CO2. So it's not going to make any difference. And there's natural CO2 that's emitted in the air as well. And I think that even this, which seems quite large, is only a fraction of the overall CO2 that's emitted through the natural environment. But if this is making a difference, then just plant more trees. I think the Chinese Communist Party actually planted a forest, but you can actually have like skyscrapers with vegetation up it as well. So it's not just going to require the UK. And even if it gets, we will probably continue to reduce our carbon CO2 emissions. But even if it gets to zero, it's not going to make any difference on the overall climate emergency, the climate emergency that they've said. So unless these India, China and the USA actually, and Russia and Japan, do something, increase the number of trees planted, reduce the CO2, we can help whatever they require, although they're very rich countries in their own right anyway. But whatever it is to do jointly to reduce it, we can plant more trees and we can reduce it. Rewilding, getting the natural animals back in, the moose back in Scotland, bears, whatever it's going to take to reduce it. But this is the situation. So apparently they're going to want to lock us in our house for this. The climate agenda is a load of pish. It's fear mongering. Well, it's all about control. Are you looking forwards, sideways? No, don't listen or trust doctors. They are sales reps for the pharmaceutical industry. But I do want to lick smokers in the street. I stopped smoking 19 months ago and have never looked back. That's great, Teresa. That's absolutely superb. That's absolutely brilliant. So, what have we got now? Oh, the fetus eaters. I'm a bit concerned. Let's see if we can go into Twitter. Yeah, let's go into Twitter, because obviously, me doing fair usage of other people's videos is a big no-no. So, I love this one, Nikolai Sturgeon. So, there's wee Moby. Wee Moby's not interested in the Queen. Patrick Harvey gets gets off your phone. Patrick Harvey, get off your phone. Her Majesty the Queen is officially opening the new session of the Scottish Parliament. You bad-mannered fool. There's horsey face. So there's the great guys at the Scottish Libertarian Party, great bunch, vote for them. Are we the only ones glad that the SNP medical apartheid app doesn't work? Hum's are useless, let's give him a wee like for that. It's extraordinary. It's a bit like heretics complaining that the Inquisition can't get their act together and get the bonfires lit. That's brilliant. Oh dear, how close humanity is to understanding that their governments are organised criminals. And Dopey Joe and Greedy Face AOC is wanting $3.5 trillion, and none of that money is going to go to individuals who are going to have to pay for it in the future. Oh dear. So there's nice guy. What's his name? Nice guy. Can't remember his name. Keep forgetting.
It's
Richard Tice.
Fun and energy and drive. You know, you're driving forward, and that's great. I'm not sure Keir Starmer was driving forward with his speech.
Well, I listened to George. Well, it's interesting. We had George Folks come on, and he said, "No, listen, Keir Starmer has made a massive difference today. He's rammed, Boris Johnson's sort of personality and being a showman down his throat. He's managed to, marginalise the hard left. And today was the day that Starmer showed that the Labour Party can..."
I don't know if any of you watched the Labour Party conference, but oh my goodness, what a bunch of loon balls.
Be electable. Richard, I don't want to give the wrong impression, and I was saying this earlier. He just doesn't inspire me in terms of his language, his body language. Just, I don't know what it is. Maybe it is like
dull. He's dull.
lawyer. I don't know. But I don't feel galvanised when he speaks.
I'm going to skip along here.
But actually, and no one came out. Where was Boris on Friday after that ridiculous Daily Mail headline? Where was he front foot saying, it's a ridiculous headline, there's plenty of fuel, there's no shortage, I'm the Prime Minister, ignore what they say, and, in the event that there's any issue, we've got the army on standby.
Well, you'll love this. This is, Richard, this is just in from the Business Secretary on Twitter. I can confirm the government's reserve tanker fleet will be on the road this afternoon to boost deliveries of fuel to the forecourts across Britain. The trucks are driven by civilians, so not the army then, and will provide additional logistical capacity to the fuel industry. We are now seeing signs that the situation at the pumps has begun to improve. Yep. With more stations getting fuel, the sooner we can return to normal buying habits, the sooner the situation will return to normal. That just in from the Business. Has Johnson been found out, or is it just the way the world's going? Could anybody else have done a better job? That's the next question, I guess, Richard.
Yes, of course they could have done, because he has been found out as a blustering, blundering salesman. Look, we all love a good salesman.
Yeah.
But, there's no detail behind. There's no hard work behind. There's no courage behind. He's not a brave man. He's not what it'd like to be, a Churchillian figure. The truth is he's a bit cowardly. He's afraid of rolling his sleeves up from proper hard work. And yes, he's been found out. Yes, it was a hideous crisis. Yes, we would have all made mistakes.
So I actually think we need a change. I think Richard Tice seems a bit... He seems like, it comes across like a really nice fellow, and I actually think he might appeal to Middle England, which is not a bad thing, but I think... I think if Richard Tice sticks to what Nigel Farage did with a contract and actually brings in the reforms that were in the contract in the Brexit Party, and now with the Brexit Party, and now with the UK Reform Party, that and they're up to 4%. I told you they were going to go up. I don't think that the Conservative Party are the ones that are going to reform, and they see the RAB de facto, and it looks like the Tories de facto are still looking at open borders, and they're not deporting illegal immigrants, and they're just allowing people to walk in, and it's predominantly men, and this is going to be bad for the UK, and RAB is and the Conservative Party as a whole are not going to change the open door immigration policy. So they're just as bad as anybody else. So the Conservatives, the Labour, Liberals are all de facto open door, and we Nippy are all de facto open door immigrationists. While at the same time they're now bringing in diversity officers, which is basically just ethnic cleansing of the indigenous population out the jobs that they were trying to, they were already filling. So you're bringing in a whole different population arbitrarily, not having to go through any checks, just coming in, and they're now getting preferential treatment through these diversity officers to basically ethnically cleanse the indigenous population out of jobs that they were doing. And there's no protection in the protection of minorities, whether it be for white women or indigenous women and indigenous men, that they're now a minority in the country as well, but there's no protection for these people based on their arbitrary characteristics. There's only everybody else is protected under law, which is equality under the left, and even the Conservative Party, that's their equality now. You'll just get moved out of your job and somebody else will take it that's just able to walk into the country unchecked.
You know, have the courage to admit your mistakes, to learn from them, and to make, prompt, fast decisions thereafter. We've literally been on the back foot month after month after month. And most
but
of
why
that is
doesn't
all
he get on the front
leadership.
foot? He's got this huge majority. He's got people telling him.
Well, he doesn't need to get in the front foot. That's the point. The point is he doesn't need to, because there's no challenge from Keir Starmer. The Labour Party conference was just a joke. It's like the wackiest people. If I could get the wackiest people in one room who you definitely wouldn't vote for, that's the Labour conference.
Why is he, in your mind, you're a politician, why is he not braver? What's wrong with him? Why isn't he braver? Is it better to say nothing because you fear that you'll mess it up? What's the theory behind that?
He doesn't have to do it. There's no challenge there. There's no challenge. So who's he? The Liberal Democrats don't know, can't even define what a woman is. They don't even know. Keir Starmer thinks he's got a cervix. David Lammy thinks he's got a cervix as well. But David Lammy might be a big pussy anyway.
Jeremy, you can't train or learn bravery and courage. It's either in you or it's not. And it's not in the Prime Minister.
What's he scared of?
Full stop.
What's he scared of?
He's scared of lots of things, including a comb, it would seem.
But he doesn't have to do anything. And he's still following, even though we are out of the EU, he's still following the Conservatives' globalist agenda. The globalist agenda has not actually changed even under Boris Johnson. We've still got open door immigration. The people are just able to walk into the country unchecked, not deported for illegally entering. Amnesties, which I told you way back before he even got elected, he was going to do, him and Rab were going to do. Population replacement. We've got the highest number of deaths through drugs, highest number of deaths through alcohol in Scotland as well. Wee Nippy's not increasing the indigenous population by any of her actions. In fact, she's not even produced any children because she might be a mad a lesbian who beats up her girlfriend, allegedly.
But he's just not got the courage actually to make some tough decisions and to lead promptly from the front.
So I think the Conservatives are the problem. The Conservative Party, individual Conservatives within the Conservative Party might actually be Conservative, but I think the people who run it, who are following the globalist agenda, even though we're out of the EU, I think the globalist agenda is still being followed. And it was the Tories that signed us. And this is something that Richard Tice, Nigel Farage, even their friends down at the Lotus Eaters, although you know I like to call them the Fetus Eaters, go down. I've never discussed is the Union of the Mediterranean, the Barcelona process, the UN Compact in Marrakesh. And the fact that the Tories have signed us up to de facto open immigration. And that's why people are now walking in, getting put up in hotels for £250 a day. And that's coming out of your taxpayers' money. and we don't know where they are. If they're destroying the documents, how do we know where they're from? And what are we doing? We're doing population replacement and jobs and housing and everything else. What is the actual underlying purpose?
To get ahead of things, he's always reacting.
While at the same time, not actually replacing our own population. It's bonkers.
He's always listening to what his advisors might say, thinking about what the headlines might be, as opposed to having some proper.
But you bring up, I know, but you bring up advisors. But you bring up advisors. I would be saying to him, Boris, listen, every time you're too scared to say how you feel, right? Something happens and then you have to jump in and do a U-turn or say, I should have done that before. Why aren't his advisors saying to him, Richard, you know what? Put your neck on the line here, and if it goes wrong, go on television, put your hands up in the air and say, this is unprecedented, da-da-da-da. Perhaps we should have done this. Don't get honest politicians like that, do you? That shows weakness, but I think it shows that he's real. That a politician is...
Well, you know, that's me.
...like normal if he does that, or she does that.
He's not a real leader, that's the point, Jeremy. You know, we're at this moment of crisis. Why isn't he up there, front centre stage, you know, actually talking about the crisis with the fuel and giving people some confidence and some leadership? Why is he relying on Kwasi Kwarteng? Why is he relying on George Eustace?
Yeah.
And others, you know,
Kwasi Kwarteng just done that Twitter, and you're absolutely right. Does Johnson win the next election though because of the disarray, or does Starmer come up on the inside and blow us all away?
Well, obviously, I'm hoping that as many people as possible will vote Reform UK. And
but you're not going to win the election with the.
Remember, I said they're going to do it. Well, I said they were going to win the next election. It's still a couple of years off. You know, just never know.
Greatest respect, are you? I'm not being disrespectful. You're not going to win, are you?
I'm not going to answer that, Jeremy. But what I am going to say is that it's most unlikely. I think Labour are finished. I don't think they win a majority ever again in your and my lifetime.
Wow.
I think they go the way of the Liberals 100 years ago. The question that comes...
Because the Liberals, you remember I said I'm a Liberal, I'm a classical or a libertarian Liberal, which is going to be a lot sexier in politics than the illiberal undemocrats.
She has to ask itself is, how long does it want to live in a one-party state before it says, we need to look elsewhere, we need something different, this country deserves better?
Yeah, I would give Richard Tice a shot. I would give there's some really good people in the Brexit party, and they were competent and they were professional and they were nice people. They weren't extreme or anything else. I think they're getting painted. In fact, I don't actually know where the Reform Party, well, obviously, I don't know if they're not talking to me, but that's an irrelevance. But I still don't know where they are on the political spectrum, and or Nigel for that matter. It would be great to do a political compass test with Nigel and with Reform UK to find out exactly where they are, as we've done with so far 6 of the political leaders in Scotland already.
Interesting.
I was actually speaking to another one the other day there.
So you're the leader of the Reform Party. Maybe, in hindsight, in terms of what you've said and what we've talked about, COVID, the pandemic, maybe Brexit has papered over the fact that this is not a particularly switched on Conservative government. They haven't got an awful lot of policy to bring in, and maybe it's what politics is, and you know this better than me.
But do they have to do anything? Maybe Boris is not doing anything because over-governance can be a problem. And under governance, you're not going to get blamed for anything. Maybe it's a clever strategy, maybe for him to prolong his time in office if he is just a maintainer of what's there already. He's not going to get any flack from the media because all he's doing is maintaining the situation that's already the thing there. So, for example, unlike Margaret Thatcher, who was a reformer, if Boris just doesn't do very much, then he's not going to get any flack, and then he's not going to look bad at the next election, where correctly pointed out by these gentlemen as well that Keir Starmer is boring, and with the fruit and nuts in the Labour Party, we'll see in a minute.
It's about timing, isn't it? Good politics. It is about timing. You can be, the wrong person at the right time. You can be the right person at the wrong time. There's plenty of talented politicians who haven't made it. Boris Johnson, but he was very strong on something that needed to be strong, and he followed a woman who was not the best. It'll be very...
Well, they'd probably been better Nigel being the Prime Minister, but Nigel, they say that all political careers end in failure, but Nigel at least got Brexit done, didn't he? It was Nigel. I think Boris was beneficial when it came, but it looks like the Tories are the issue, not the solution.
Interesting to see. Finally, before you go, Richard, and really interesting, I'm going to throw this one at you. There's been no warning of it, but obviously today sees that horrific sentencing for the really tragic.
I'm going to leave that. That was very sad about the woman as well. What were you guys saying? Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Fungal attracts the moisture. Fungal grows on it, same as out of date food. Ray, how you doing, buddy? Monty, I heard that more ethanol, the worse it is for an engine. Ethanol absorbs water and it does go quicker. Flatter might get you. Flattery might get you. Right, so.
Full up. The garages have got a problem. There's no queues. So it's ridiculous at the moment. I actually called on the army should be in immediately. The virtual signalling they did from the
So GB News apparently going from strength to strength as well, which is great news as well. Here we are back in Australia. They'll be chasing you down for the climate emergency. The climate emergency. They'll be trying to chase you through the climate emergency.
Policing tweets and allow women to be murdered by their own on the streets. It's just
policing tweets. They kick you off, but our political class through their globalist pals in Silicon Valley get you kicked off, and our political class don't support the British National. They'll support the tech giants in Silicon Valley.
Entirely wrong. The priorities are entirely wrong. But of course, again.
So that's unfortunately what's happening with our globalist shill politicians.
This comes from the top down. This comes from
this comes from the top down. This is the Tories that are doing it. Tories are doing the diversity officers. Tories are letting people just walk into the country. So and these are meant to be the right wing or far right Tories, and it's still the same agenda. So what they've done is played you, the voter. They've told the voters said we don't want illegal immigrants coming into the country, and the Tories have just gone, yeah, well, we don't care, we're going to keep doing it. So the Tories need to go. That's the problem. You would be better with Richard Tice.
College of Policing. The College of Policing have erased the protected characteristic of sex in their.
So this is back to the wokerati. So. Men and women, I'm telling you, it's going to be like, let's see, I don't know if I'll get a strike for this, but who cares? It's going to be, this is what it's going to be like. This is the future. This is. No, that's not it. This is the future. Where is that? Here's the show. There it is here. This is how.
Worth fighting for.
So it's going to. This is the new fascism that's going to come. And we're all going to be in the same showers. This is the. We're not going to have genders. We're all just going to, the protected female species are all going to go, and we're going to be doing all communal showering in communal bathrooms. That's the future. And also the sort of fascism that was represented in Starship Troopers, although it's a bit cheesy, had some brilliant underlying political messages. This sort of fascism that is would you like to know more? That's going to be involved in the new corporatism that's and the communism that's getting pushed through the agenda. So what they're basically we're having is the Starship Trooper future where we're all going to be shouting together because they're going to be getting rid of gender. And yeah, that's the future. So you can hear, let them listen to this again. So you're not going to have protections in the future. So the specific characteristics are not going to protect, which you shouldn't do anyway, because that means there's one rule for one for another.
Of course, again, this comes from the top down. This comes from the College of Policing. The College of Policing have erased the protected characteristic of sex in their hate.
I don't think there shouldn't be protected characteristics. Everybody should be treated the same. That's equality. There shouldn't be protected characteristics. There should be people put in jail for if they do something criminal like to that woman, but they shouldn't get put in jail longer because she was a woman rather than being a man. That doesn't make any sense. That's discriminatory. That's what the Nazis did. And the only protected group is that's not actually protected as a group is white men.
Guidance. They've taken 9 protected characteristics and taken it
white straight men
down to simply 5. Okay, and women don't make the cut. The hate crime guidance does not.
There shouldn't be hate crimes anyway. There should just be crimes. The fact that something's done for a specific reason is irrelevant. It's the crime that's the problem, not the protected characteristics is just racist, sexist and bigoted. It comes obviously from the Marxist, the postmodernist Marxist teachings.
And can you explain to people why there is the direct connection with what you're saying then and Sarah Everard?
Okay, because it's all about importance, isn't it? It's all about importance. It's about safeguarding and importance. When you don't even recognise that women are a vulnerable group because you erase the protected characteristic of sex from your official police guidance, then protecting women becomes a very, very low priority.
But why is surely it's the police that protect the individual. Forget the characteristics, protect the individual. So surely it should be an irrelevance if that person's got a vagina or a penis or anything in between, they're getting protected. They should be getting protected not because they're a woman, because they deserve protection on a specific issue. So if an issue arose, that woman deserves protection as an individual, not because she's a woman. And they should be treating everybody the same, but men are probably more at risk of violence and other sorts of crimes than women are. So it should be, the police should be taught to protect the individual, not the group.
And this is the reason I think that we allow clearly dangerous, predatory, misogynistic, hateful men.
Ash Sarkar. Where is she? Ash Sarkar. Yeah, Ashy baby. Where are you? Misogynist. Let's see your nonsense. Where are you? Do. Oh, here we go.
When we say that the police are institutionally misogynist, we're talking about...
Now, as far as I'm aware, not only has she openly stated that she's a communist on national television, obviously 100 million people have died under communism, she's also stated that she's a Muslim. So I would suggest that Islam is the most misogynistic thing out, and I've never heard a comment on that. In fact, I've actually asked her down here, is Islam institutionally misogynistic? And she hasn't answered that, because obviously it is. But Ash Sarkar is one of these individuals who wants one rule for one for another, and call it equality.
About a top to bottom problem of reproducing outcomes which disadvantage and perpetuate violence against women.
Which I would suggest Islam does, yes, because obviously you can beat your wife, you can rape women. I would suggest Islam does all that, Ash. So yeah, you're quite correct.
So we can see that in terms of the internal processes of the police. 52% of officers who were found guilty of sexual misconduct between 2016 and 2020 kept their jobs.
Interesting statistic, but we don't know what they were found guilty of.
The second thing is that you've got an astonishingly regular pattern of cops being accused of domestic violence.
Right, you need to prove that. What statistics have you got in that, Ash? And but in the Quran and Hadith, it says it's okay to beat your wife. So what are we going to do about that, Ash?
At least one woman a week comes forward.
I think there's more women that get beaten than one woman a week, but carry on.
Accusing officers or police staff of having perpetuated domestic violence. And then you've also got what is it they're actually doing in their job. So there does exist an abuse to prison pipeline where women who have themselves experienced domestic abuse or sexual or physical abuse as children.
Which we've just found out recently that a Labour councillor called an 11-year-old girl who got gang raped by two Muslim Pakistanis. I think it was Rotherham off the top of my head. I think I've got it on Twitter. They called her a prostitute at 11 years old. So obviously Islam promotes child rape and sexual slavery and its doctrines as well, Ash. So that's quite interesting. I don't know if you've commented on that. Yeah.
Are more likely to end up in prison. So 57% of female prisoners are victims of domestic abuse, 53% experienced abuse as children. So that tells you something about how we treat vulnerable women in our society. Do we care for them?
Yeah, well, apparently the Labour Party are not bothering about Indigenous children. I think both of the Pakistani got cautioned in having sex with an 11-year-old child, gang raping her and having sex with her. So I'm not quite sure what your thoughts on with that. How long does it take for fungi to form? Patrol stations undergo tanks are full of mushrooms and fungi. Tories are controlled opposition. Yeah, I don't think the Conservatives are conservatives. So that's the point. Let me just see if I can get this. Humza useless. Yusuf admits it could take days before the Vaccine Passport Act is fixed. Humza useless. Look at Glasgow, beautiful back in the day. What a mess it is now with all the postmodern architecture. Well, diversity is a strength, but apparently this police officer, I think again from an Islamic point of view, police officer among 16 in court over child sex offences. Oh, aye. Maybe that's the people that Ash Sarkar was talking about. Tory MP slams EU for unreasonable implementation of Northern Ireland Protocol. Obviously, there's issues in Northern Ireland. There's nice guy Maya. I mean, the best thing to do, there's a guy ripping up the climate. Let's look at LBC again.
It's alright, just let go.
I think it's a gentleman of African origin. Nice guy. Well done, sir. All the white liberals letting go because it's a black gentleman. Don't like saying black. Stop saying black. An African, a gentleman of African origin. Greece will not allow uncontrolled migrant flows from Afghanistan. Oh, look at this. This is good. I like this one. There's Prince Harry. Prince Harry. Oh, here it is. Get out of the way, Prince. Meghan Markle. Oh, just you stand back there, you cuck. Hero nearly makes me want to vote. Oh, look at this guy. Femi. Oh, like, there we go. This is a great guy. Like, oh, God, what happened there? Where are we? This nearly made. So I put, there's Femi Dom. Who's got allegations that Femi's family were involved in the slave trade. I don't know if he's going to publicly apologise for that. This is how Tory councillors behave. Last Tory conference. Well done, I have to say, congratulations to them.
I'd rather get the police.
You don't want the flag. No.
Got you.
Well, yeah. No. We've got you, actually.
What a hero.
We don't want the EU.
They destroyed the flags.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, oh, enjoy democracy.
I'd rather get the police.
You don't want the flag. No one in the UK wants the flag.
Let go of the flag.
It's old news.
Let go of the flag.
Get off of it now. Get on with it. Not respect.
I'm going to report you to the police.
Good, crack on. I'll report you to the anti-democracy police.
I told you this anti-democracy. Well done. So I think lower down the Conservative Party, maybe these people should start to think about who's actually running the Conservative Party rather than actually the people who are correct down here, where the Tory councillors saying that it's undemocratic.
What was democratically voted by British people.
I need help.
Just got these.
Oh, there's Femi there. There's Femi upset his flag. I think Femi's. I don't know. I'm sure there's been some sort of past history done, genealogy done in Femi's past that they might have been involved in the slave trade.
All on video.
These people are agitating this officer. Anti-democracy officers.
No, I saw you walk away with two flags.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Sir, we did. No problem, officer. Not a problem, officer. No problem. We'll get to the bottom of it. So, what's happened? Well, they're anti-democracy officer and you took that away from them. Exactly.
It's called theft.
You own those flags?
Yes. Yes, I did put them there this morning. Sorry, I had to chase them down the street. It's just theft. Where I come from, it's called theft.
Yeah, where I come from, the EU's called undemocratic.
Yeah, well, where we've come from, it's called anti-democracy.
Yeah, quite right, gents.
No. Careful, you don't fall in front of that tram.
I know, thank you very much.
A few moments later.
Sorry, I will have to reimburse you £20.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Probably best £20 ever spent. Oh dear. So Femi is a psychic genius. He can read people by their faces. Oh dear, brilliant, absolutely superb. Reform, what does its party stand for? Oh, that's quite interesting, isn't it? This the week. Reform UK, what does the party stand for? The leader of the Reform Party has vowed to win over disgruntled Conservatives by unveiling new policies with the wow factor at the rebadged Brexit Party conference this weekend. When was that? 1 day ago. Former Brexit Party chairman Richard Tice told the Guardian that Reform UK was shifting its focus from so-called culture war issues to concentrate on taking on Boris Johnson's party on high tax, high regulation. Yeah, that's exactly where it needs to go, Richard. That's absolutely spot on. We need that in Scotland as well. Nigel Farage's GB News debate, juicy and dripping or mind-numbingly boring. It's brilliant. We love GB News. The Brexit manifesto or contract it wasn't a manifesto, as our friends at the Unity Use Network pointed out. More options, reject all. So manifesto, which was a contract at a glance. I think you have to register for that. Let's go back. So, as the paper noted, during the 2019, the then Brexit Party stood down in hundreds of seats of hundreds of Tory held seats, but in a direct challenge, the Reform UK conference is kicking off on Sunday in Manchester. Is it? Must be this Sunday. Manchester, the same day that the Tory conference begins in the same city. That was my idea, to really wind them up, which I think it has successfully done, said Tice, who took over from Nigel Farage as Reform UK in March. And Mr Johnston's team will have further cause for worry, according to Tice, who is proposing significant cuts to income and business tax. That's brilliant. That's exactly what's needed. And I would suggest a reduction in the public sector as well. You can start by getting rid of the diversity officers, the anti-white racist diversity officers. UK Reform is unveiling a range of new policies at the conference, including one that Tice said would be a big unexpected wow factor, drawing a line under his party's focus on woke stuff in the UK. Stop saying woke stuff, it's postmodernist Marxism. In the UK culture, he told The Guardian that what affects people's daily lives were issues such as healthcare, tax and environment, and next general election will be fought on those things. We are deadly serious about this, added the Reform leader, who promised to field at least 600, so I think there's about 650 plus MPs. So 600 would be a huge opportunity for the Reform Party to find out where the vote is and be able to get the vote out. I think there could be up to 10% of the population that could vote in this next general election. Maybe more. It will depend on what happens with Boris and the continued immigration issues. When the UK next goes to the polls, his party faces quite a challenge to gain public recognition after winning only 2 seats in this year's council elections. Yeah, I suggest that's 2 more than half. However, polls now put the UK Reform up to 5%. So it looks like the UK Reform Party is going to replace, potentially, Labour as the opposition. Let's see these idiots. Right, get you off. Let's see the fetus eaters. Where's the fetus eaters? If you've not joined or subscribed to the Lotus Eaters, definitely do it. Great bunch of guys. Lotus Eaters. Where is this one? They do some brilliant stuff. You should definitely subscribe to them. Videos. I think I've gone on Twitter. Here we go. We'll do it in this way. Here's Hamza Useless. Stronger for Scotland. Something went wrong. These things happen. Hamza Useless. The SNP handling of the COVID app and the ambulance crisis is an absolute disgrace. If heads don't roll for this, he should resign, and so should Nippy. She should have resigned months ago. Then they are completely unaccountable. Of course they're unaccountable. And you're just at the start of a very dangerous 5 years. Yeah, that's what we've got. Oh, there's a gentleman here. Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure if he's a Muslim as well. Police went to a man who is reported to have left 2 girls shaken after he attempted to lure one of them away in West Yorkshire. Here's Hamza Useless. Yes, Hamza Useless, humble and daunted as he becomes health secretary. Something went wrong, we're working on it. Oh dear. They are not coming near. They can to fight me first.
Basis now, who have had 2 COVID vaccines. If the vaccine was 100% effective at stopping COVID dead in its tracks, then fair enough, Kevin, I get that. But it really doesn't. You know, I open patient notes on a daily basis now who have had 2 COVID vaccines and then had COVID. So it doesn't stop us catching it. It doesn't stop us transmitting it. So what is it about?
Yes, I mean, this also feeds into. I mean, you've said before that the only reason you can think of for the government being so keen to vaccinate children, school children, from the age of 12 upwards, is some kind of mass vaccine passport scheme in the future, digital ID.
Yeah, I can't see any other reason. There's no scientific reason behind it. So you then have to go to places where ordinarily you would never go. You then have to justify that you're not a lunatic, and because people still don't quite believe it.
Might be difficult in my case, but I'll do my best. Yeah.
Well, I struggle, but
So I've been trying to establish whether these. You're a parent. Have you had your letter? Oh no, your kid's only 3. Isn't
yeah, they're not coming near her.
Okay.
Kevin. They can fight me first.
Well, luckily, she's outside the age group.
Yeah. Well, there we go. What's going on here? Australia again. Oh. They look like British police, don't they? Oh, hey. That line didn't hold. So apparently one of the politicians actually resigned. Oh, here's the women and children. Here's the women and children coming. Scary old men. So this is English flowers. Scary old men. So they get here and none of their females. Then what? Very interesting, isn't it?
Them stay. These are people, and this isn't a great advertisement for their value as citizens. They're staying here illegally.
Rab says he's open-minded on jobs for illegal immigrants.
They're breaking the law. Yeah. They should have submitted themselves to Home Office processes, which they've refused to do. Yeah. Why on earth should we incentivise them to stay?
Because at the moment, we don't know who they are.
Yes, exactly. That's why we shouldn't be.
We can't track them.
Well, I was just...
We have no fingerprints for them. We have no identities for them. First of all, that's a national security risk. You've got one
just letting people walk into the country as a national security risk. That's why they should be getting deported.
500,000 people who are ghosted into the system. Secondly, they're being abused by potential employers. Now, a lot of people say, well, actually, that's their fault. They shouldn't be here without a visa.
Exactly.
That still doesn't give people the right, to exploit them.
No, they should be deported back to country of origin.
Lords are exploiting them. They're being exploited by criminal gangs.
So they should be put back home or given work visas. I mean, I'm not opposed to giving them 3-year work visas if they want to work and they want to contribute, and then they go back to the country of origin. But to kid on that they're refugees and this is not economic migrants or basically illegal immigration. This situation is going to get worse because of Rab, and Rab's de facto, and the Tories are de facto open immigrationists.
Gangs. Workers, we've seen them working on beaches or, working in farms or somewhere like this. Thirdly, they don't pay no tax or national insurance because they haven't...
Well, that's even worse because that means that other taxpayers are paying for illegal immigrants to come here and stay in hotels.
Got any NI numbers. They haven't got any UTR numbers. So why don't we offer an amnesty? Now, I'm not talking about...
No, we don't do it because that's just going to encourage more. So we don't do amnesties. Oh, there's Labour in Scotland, Alexandria. Rest in peace, Labour in Scotland. Oh, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Fantastic. So, the fetus eaters.
Capital.
Oh my God, man. This woman's absolutely barking mad. So, I don't know. Let me try and get back out of this. Oh, I don't know if I can get it on YouTube.
Do you know the main reason why most traders lose money on the markets? It's because they rely...
Capital!
So this is saying that the actual Labour Party too is anti-Semitic and anti-white men. So it doesn't like white men, it's anti-Semitic. So I think I can go forward to listen to this idiot.
Good afternoon, comrades.
Comrades.
We as a party who have been found to have unlawfully discriminated against and harassed Jews.
So a party that's full of Muslims, which is an anti-Semitic political ideology as well as a religion, and a party that's full of Marxists, which is also anti-Semitic, and potentially even National Socialists, which are probably anti-Semitic as well. So we've got this idiot.
I should also at conference, we are going to conduct this debate, this serious debate, in the way it was intended. I will not accept heckling, booing, or any other attempts to hassle myself.
I don't know who this idiot is.
Or any other person speaking from this.
Look at him, look at his wee angry face and his bifocals. Let's get him again. It's always good for them to apologise for their anti-Semitism.
We as a party who have been found to have unlawfully discriminated against.
So they've been found to have unlawfully discriminated, but they're shouting racist to everybody else.
And harassed.
Oh, they're like the new Nazi party, isn't it? the Fourth Reich coming out of the Labour Party and boring what's his face.
I should also have been found to have unlawfully discriminated against and harassed Jews.
Oh, but they're all saying, oh, look at this, did he? He's back again. So he's just apologising there for harassing Jews, but he's okay about harassing straight white men.
Working people. Comrades.
I am going to use 1 second before everyone puts their hands up.
So you should apologise for discriminating against Jews, but it's okay to discriminate against white men. Carry on.
I am going to use this opportunity to ask for more speakers, but before anyone puts their hands up, I am aware, sitting here, one, it is very difficult to see all of you. There are very bright lights, which you can't really see when you sat down there.
Doesn't this guy look like a total prick?
And two, the people putting their hands up do not reflect the diversity of the people in this hall, and that is very clear to me. I am afraid, and I'm not speaking from a position...
This guy's a racist.
...particular strength here. There are too many white men putting their hands up.
Just racism. So we've now got a racist anti-white, the woke agenda, which is basically racist anti-white men, and this is something that the slimy shits in the Labour Party are all promoting. The anti-Semitic, the found anti-Semitic Labour Party.
I am not anti-white men.
Oh, I've got a white friend. I've got a white friend. Oh, some of my friends are white. Let's go back to this.
I am not anti-white men.
Oh, I think you are. I think you're a racist, mate, against white men.
Some of my favourite people. My dad's a white man.
Sounds like a racist argument for me, mate. Sounds like you're a racist. But so don't worry, it's okay to discriminate against white straight men. Don't worry about that, buddy. They're not a protected class, but everybody else is. Every other minority is. But white straight men, you can say whatever you want. Just bar them from the conference next time. You can bar them and the Jews. And you can have your diversity. Oh, who would vote for these clowns? Honestly. You've got one MP left in Scotland. Let's see if we can get rid of him.
But I do not want...
Sawar can't even get elected. And we can get, if the SNP voter had voted for the Alba Party or the Scottish Libertarian Party, both nationalist parties, and voted, all of their second votes had gone to those two parties, they would have got rid of all of the Labour Party in the Scottish Parliament. Sawar wouldn't have got elected, and you would have got rid of all the unionists. But you only got two MSPs by doing what me Nippy told you to do.
White men to exclusively dominate this or any other debate at this
racist
conference, and
racist.
Following on from my comrade in the chair, this
communist. Why are you saying about communism? 100 million people have died. A lot of Europeans have died under communism.
Morning, I do wish to see the diversity of the whole reflected.
Yeah, aye. I don't know how diverse it was. But what you're doing is saying something racist. What you're doing, if you said black people, there's too many black people putting up their hand, there's too many women putting up their hands, too many Jews, but the acceptable face of discrimination in today's society, not protected under the protected classes or hate speech nonsense, not protected, especially under what we've got with Hamza Useless and his hate speech nonsense.
I'm not putting anybody on the spot here.
Yes, you are. You've just said that. You've just said white men should not put their hands up. You're a racist.
But if you want to speak...
And you can hear them clapping. It seems, oh. We're in the Labour Nazi Party who hate the Jews and the white men. The National Socialist Labour Party, is that what it's called?
Do not be afraid to put your hand up. We want to hear from you. This is an inclusive conference.
Oh yeah, except if you're a white man or a Jew. Oh, he's so funny.
Hands up now.
Except the white men and the Jews.
Please, bearing that in mind. Thank
you. Thank you. Well, if you're white, man, sit down in your own country, especially when it comes to Labour. Oh my God.
Don't see why we have billionaires planning to live on the moon when people don't even have somewhere to sleep.
He's planning to live in the moon.
Frankly, this motion doesn't actually go far enough. We need to take back housing stock from the establishment.
Get off. Where's the Jewish guy? Wait until I find the Jewish guy. He's complaining. Oh, I think is this the Jewish guy? This is it here.
Earlier, about trying to ensure to reflect the diversity of the hall.
Yesterday,
I didn't know the hall was diverse.
Sitting there, when anti-Semitism...
I think this guy's Jewish, so this is the gentleman I was wanting to find and let him speak. Why are you in this party? The National Socialist Party? It's like 100,000 Jews that were in the Fascist Party in Italy.
Sitting there, when anti-Semitism was mentioned, there were people around me who were laughing.
Probably the same people that were laughing at the white straight men should sit down, put their hand down. They'll be barring us next. We'll have a wee sign on our arm saying, "Oh, straight white men," and the Jews will have their own, and we'll have our own. That's your Marxism. That's your postmodernist Marxism for you.
Is this a conference that has resolved to deal with the problem of anti-Semitism?
No.
Just after the last Brighton conference, there was a discussion about Holocaust denial. I explained the hurt that I felt as someone whose grandparents were murdered in Auschwitz. I was advised by a comrade that I should check out Norman Finkelstein on YouTube for assistance on how I felt about being a second-generation Holocaust survivor.
Comrade.
I don't think you survived the Holocaust. I do accept the fact your family survived the Holocaust, but I don't think you survived the Holocaust. It's a bit like people claiming things that have happened in the past that haven't happened to them. It's not really pertinent, is it? Like, it's not really relevant.
Comrades.
Comrades, look at twatty boy.
Trying to gender balance this conference.
Oh, she's gender balancing it now as well. The postmodernist wokeism is just bursting, isn't it?
Yes, but this debate appears to have a large number of men wishing to
Oh, not the white men again, and the Jews. It's probably white men and the Jews.
speak. Yes, this delegate's here, thank you.
And in 20...
Until I get the swastikas out. Oh, if you're a white man, you're not going to vote for them, are you? Let's be honest. Oh, dear. Oh, look. Look at this. Buy one, get one free. Barhead jars. Oh, dear. What's she saying? Anna Sawa telling us what we already know. Scottish Labour clearly have no problems keeping the Tories in power. No ifs, no buts, apparently. Oh, there's the Labour Party getting killed off again. Oh, it's so funny. Here we go. Scottish Libertarian. What does Boris have to do before the Tory voters admit they've been duped? Nationalise everything. Sing the red flag. Start killing sparrows. Implement forced labour. Oh, bring in diversity officers. Bring in postmodernist Marxism.
Who, of course. Now, a story that nobody wants to talk about, but I think we really should talk about. And it follows an interview in The Spectator magazine with Dominic Raab, who, of course, isn't just the Secretary of State for Justice, he's also the Deputy Prime Minister. And Raab was saying in this interview, talking about immigration, whether people have come here legally or illegally, but discussing all of this.
If you've came here illegally, you should be deported. We don't have open immigration. Not one party stood on a platform of actually having de facto open immigration. So they're basically allowing open immigration without putting it to the British people that that's what they're de facto doing, and by allowing illegal immigrants to enter illegally, there'll be de facto open immigration. It's probably been bought off by Soros, and that's the Tories as well as the Lib Lab Party, as well as the Labour Party, the Liberals and the SNP and the Greens.
And Raab, of course, was the Foreign Secretary who said that up to 5 million people...
But Nigel, I've never heard you talk about the Union in the Mediterranean, the UN Compact in Marrakesh, and the fact that the Tories have signed us up to all this, the UN Compact, the Union in the Mediterranean, and the Barcelona process. So I don't understand why you've not talked about it. Neither's like PJW, who I respect greatly, Paul Joseph Watson, or even Carol hasn't talked about it either, which the Tories have signed us up to this.
From Hong Kong could come into the United Kingdom. It's a lot of people. Now, that's not to suggest all 5 million would come, but he equated that.
I think I prefer the Liberals and the people from Hong Kong coming over.
Priti Patel's family, who of course came from Idi Amin's Uganda back in the early 1970s. The difference is 28,000 came from Uganda. Hundreds of thousands will come, I've no doubt, from Hong Kong, and who can blame them for wanting to do so. But the point is this: taking back control of our borders was a big Brexit message. Reducing the sheer number of people coming to Britain was part of what the Conservatives got elected on in 2019.
But they've never done it for the last 40 years, so why would you think they're going to start doing it now?
And it's pretty clear to me that Mr. Raab has no real respect for this. Whilst he says, you know, issuing 100,000 visas to people to come in from Europe to solve the lorry driver shortage is not the answer, he does...
They've got de facto open immigration. The people are just walking into the country.
...say that he's open-minded about the 60,000 people that are currently being housed in this country, asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, use whatever term you choose. But he's open-minded about them joining the workforce. Now, he says...
Actually, I think they should be able to join the workforce. I think they should be given works visas rather than asylum seekers, and they should be told to go back after 3 or 5 years or whatever time it is. But we're still using cheap foreign labour because the Tories are trying to suppress wages.
That once people become integrated and speak the language...
They're not going to become integrated in the first generation, although a lot of people in the Middle East speak very good English as well. Unless they're already English-speaking individuals, but they're also bringing in their ideas as well, and that's going to cause problems. That's like allowing the Nazis just to walk in, saying, "Oh, we're refugees, we're illegal immigrants, we're just going to turn up, and that's us here now."
That will have a better and a more harmonious society. But here is the point. Once people who've come here across the English Channel or in the back of a lorry or by whatever means, once they're in the jobs market...
It's still a failure to protect our borders.
There is not a chance of any one of them being deported. They will claim their human right to work. They'll be...
It's not a human right to work, Nigel. I don't believe that. I think you're getting too into the thing. But people who've came here illegally should be deported.
Defended by lawyers. And what Mr. Raab is doing here, and perhaps...
We should definitely unsign. I don't know how you unsign the UN's thing on people. If people are coming here illegally and it's being protected by the undemocratic UN globalist entity, we should be unsigning that charter so that it's been controlled. But the Conservatives don't want to control it.
It's the reason the other broadcasters don't wish to have this debate is because it's all too difficult.
Oh, yeah. Unelected millionaire Tory donor made Scottish official office minister. Yeah. There's no such thing as white privilege. Yeah, Spike, going to Spike as well. There's Andy No, great guy. Vice President Kamala Harris to students who accused Israel of genocide. Your truth must be heard. Political Congress chief. Indeed, instead of immediately being a tattletale, maybe asks someone questions first. If you did, you'd learn that this is the family of fallen Marine Sergeant Nicole Gee, getting a tour from the Congressman Tom McClintock. Maybe consider things taking down this tweet. How does that exempt him from wearing a mask? Oh, there's the guys at the InfoWars. Here's God. Is this God coming?
What do you think tap water is? It's a gay bomb, baby. My old friend of 20 years met him in 1998, Joe Rogan, and you know he's got a adopted black daughter. That's Joe Rogan's daughter. She's like,
wow, wow, I didn't know that. But I think we'll listen to. He was on with Stephen Crowder. He's saying some very interesting stuff that I knew 2 days ago. This is it.
never.
Oh, good. There you go. Good to see you, sir. Sorry, my hands are chilly.
See how far he's come.
I know.
I mean, he's totally awake now.
Yeah, he is. And
I'm dying to meet him. Dying to meet Alex. Well, very jealous of Dank and Carol Benjamin actually being on the show. Oh.
We did have you. Hold on a second. We had you on like 5 times before that. We even taped like 3 sketches with you doing the Young
Turks.
Very nice. But you wanted to be on like every week.
For a year before. Steven, I got this story here you're not going to believe about saltwater pools. I'm like, all right, look.
It's just great. You just totally miss Alex Jones, don't you?
System and a global medical vaccine passport that'll actually really be a carbon tax passport that tracks everything you do. And now MasterCard's come out, United's come out, and Kerry said last week, he goes, I don't care if governments don't pass carbon taxes. The corporations are implementing it now. So it's a global corporate tax on people to the corporations. And when you hear Build Back Better, that means post-industrial world, Agenda 2030, this is all official, abolish all the small businesses. And
well, Wee Nippy's already done that in Scotland, hasn't she? She's already destroyed her. People who have gone bankrupt and haven't been able to maintain their businesses, the small businesses, because of the COVID lockdown, which has killed a very small amount of people and wasn't necessary.
And then vertically integrate the economy. So it's a corporate fascist takeover using
corporate fascist takeover. Listen to what he says in this one.
Marxist-Leninist ideology.
Marxist-Leninist, postmodernist Marxist ideology, which we've already seen by the diversity, the ethnic cleansing through the use of mass immigration, diversity officers, and it's okay to discriminate against white men. They're not a protected class. They're the acceptable non-protected class.
And a Cloward and Piven strategy to collapse civilization.
And that doesn't require any kind of
to collapse civilization.
A conspiracy. To be clear, we're not saying
that's not conspiratorial. We already know it's happening. It's getting pushed through. Wee Nippy, but all of the 5 parties that are represented in the Parliament, the Lib Lab Con Party, the SNP, and the Greens, are all globalist parties. So unless you shift your vote away from the corporatist globalist parties, it doesn't matter if you shift between Labour or the SNP or the Greens or the Liberal and Democrats or the Conservative. They're all corporatist globalists. They're all pushing the same agenda. If you've not woken up to this, you need to wake up. If you're one of the million people who voted for Brexit and you're still voting for any of these 5 parties, regardless of what your underlying policies are, that you agree with them on that, you're still pushing the globalist agenda and what that entails.
Global Sustainability Board under.
Let's make sure that we're because people
we're
say
like two women in prison about to have a baby together.
Yes.
Where is it? And Klaus Schwab was the head of the Bilderberg Group back when that was
like New World Order, this reset. Why are they saying the quiet part out loud? What's changed right now?
Well, did you notice the new spending bill is called Build Back Better?
Yes.
And they all wear that rainbow swastika. It's a sun sign of the
rainbow swastika.
When and Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates wears it, Klaus Schwab wears it, and Klaus Schwab was the head of the Bilderberg Group back when that was secret, and he was also the head of the UN Global Sustainability Board under UNESCO. And so he's written 4 books where he explains. He wrote a book a few years ago. He also wrote The Great Reset last year, saying we're going to use the fear of a virus to bring in a global system and a global medical vaccine passport that will actually really be a carbon tax passport that tracks everything you do. And now MasterCard's come out, United's come out, and Kerry said last week, he goes, I don't care if governments don't pass carbon taxes. The corporations are implementing it now. So it's a global corporate tax on people to the corporations. And when you hear Build Back Better, that means post-industrial world, Agenda 2030, this is all official, abolish all the small businesses and then vertically integrate the economy. So it's a corporate fascist takeover using Marxist-Leninist ideology and a Cloward and Piven strategy to collapse civilization.
And that doesn't require any kind of a conspiracy. To be clear, we're not saying that Bill Gates is putting a tracking chip in your vaccine. We're not saying that's not a real. Of course, it's a real virus.
We're not saying he's not.
No, we're saying
they're creating an international.
It's a real virus, and they're taking advantage of something to use that to instill fear and control them.
Exactly.
And the results have decimated small businesses across this country.
It's what you were saying earlier when you were defending Joe Rogan. And that's what he was saying. He's not saying that they've killed millions of people in death camps yet.
No.
What he said is this is the lead up. You can't buy or sell unless you have a special license. You mark the people you want to target. And now, as of today, the CDC is calling people with an illegal national database. It's in the news, calling them at their house to say, you haven't been injected. Why is that? And so whatever happened to HIPAA, whatever happened to the Nuremberg Code, whatever happened to medical privacy, and if you look at Australia, the UK, New Zealand, Canada, and the EU, they're now announcing a thing called shielding. And that's where you, quote, lock down cities and areas completely, quote, so the healthy don't get it. And they're now proposing that and building and expanding these emergency
shielding.
Centers. Yeah,
okay, I just thought that was something that they put at the Golden Corral.
Here's the first document, operational considerations, February 11th, 2020. And then it goes in to talk about general population, how to lock down cities, how to put people in camps.
Well, look, that's one thing. Of course, they have locked down countries.
It says camp sector.
Well, there are camps in Australia right
movement
now.
Interactions.
Right, there are camps in Australia. One's only going to be completed in 2024. That's a pretty long timeline. What were you about to say there, Joe?
Well, Alex, I wanted to bring up, so I know that in 1990...
Camp sector level?
Yeah. So in 1994, there was a national immunization survey where the CDC actually calls. We check the number. It's coming from the CDC, this phone call that they're asking about that. So there's a couple things that could be happening here. This could be that routine call that they've been doing this for literally over 2 decades, right? Yeah. Calling and talking to people, doing surveys to see how many people are immunized for measles, mumps, rubella, but they also do it for other breakouts that happen. So the question is, are they calling and asking questions about COVID that they're then taking that information, using a totally like normal thing that they've done, and then using that against people, or are they just gathering information? I think that's the point we don't quite know yet.
Well, let me answer the question. Yeah, they're building on older programs, but we also had 2 Supreme Court rulings, one of them Jacobson 100 years ago, that you could forcibly inject people, and that same court also said you could sterilize poor whites and blacks. And so the precedents they're using of forced inoculation are literally eugenics era. And in the Nuremberg trial, the Nazis actually used what the U.S. and England did with forced sterilizations and forced inoculations.
And let me just be really clear, because YouTube just made this part. We are not saying that the COVID vaccine is forced sterilization. What we are talking about is the same with Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, who supported eugenics and forced sterilization. We're talking about how that is something that has happened in the past. Not saying that's the current vaccine. But no, that is that's important to note. It is also something I'll bring up here, too, for Gerald. Do you notice a problem with what you just said? They've been doing it for decades, right?
Yeah.
But they've been calling, asking about
being immunized.
Can someone, let's have someone from the research department bring up the definition of the vaccine. It does not refer to immunization. It refers to protection against COVID.
Because it's a gene therapy. So let's expand on that. What they're doing is building on top of all of this. So if you remember, what did Biden say 6 months ago? He said, in red areas and in areas that aren't highly vaccinated, we're going to send groups out to homes to canvass and to push for them to be and to try to take them there. Right. So people hear this now announced because they're expanding and people have been called and they're pushing it on them. And they go, that couldn't be, that's not American. But remember, Biden announced it and they have newscasts showing people, going to people's doors and saying, come on, we'll take you to get the shot right now. You really need it.
Right.
Paid for by the federal government.
Mr. Pfizer's neighborhood,
Through NGOs. So the answer is that is going on. So see, what I do is I don't just use one report. I'll have dozens of others, they're already going on under other names. And what I'm saying is the UN admits, Dr. Ryan, the head of Global Rapid Response, a year and a half ago, he said, we're going to have the shield in place proposal. It's going to be implemented by governments around the world. And we're going to go in and basically in the future under new lockdowns, actually go in and take people out of the homes who aren't even sick to take them to facilities, quote, for their protection. So they want that power to develop the camps, and at first it'll look reasonable. You'll go to the camp, you'll get out of the camp. It describes how you'll be taken to the camps in here, in this document I gave you, from cdc.gov for 6 months.
That's quite...
So remember Hillary said we need fun camps for men? Hey, try this. I got a leaked document.
Fun camps for men?
Wasn't that Epstein Island?
Search this.
Yes.
Search this with Infowars.com at the end. It'll still take you to the Army's website, but that's how you find it. Search Obama re-education camps. And remember, 2010, he secretly proposed re-education camps for Americans during a collapse. The Army got upset, leaked the document to me, and then 2 years later, they declassified it. So understand, this has been going on a while. They've been trying to secretly prepare.
Let me read this. So just look, this just so people can see this. I don't know if you can get a close-up here, Quarterback Garrett.
Give me a second.
Because we don't have these sources available. But this is, if you can look in that little URL, we'll make sure that we have it available on loudwithcrowder.com.
Yeah.
This is a CDC website. I just opened it up.
Copy of it.
Oh, okay. Well,
So these guys are always excellent. Yeah, always excellent what he's saying. He just made sure that Labour will lose the next election. If they are refugees, why not stop in mainland Europe? How long does it take for fungi to form? Oh, guys, hope you enjoyed that. That was me just back. I'll get back to the other ones that I've actually set up as well. So obviously I'm being shadow banned on this as well, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been a wee while since I've had a chat, and good night.